My name is Sebastian. I'm a website designer. I'm going to help you with understanding image optimization today, and just understanding basically the size of images, because that makes a difference if you're making a web page, a landing page, website. You want to have the smallest possible file sizes on that web page so that it doesn't take too long to load up, so that visitors to your web page, your website, they stick around, right? So in order to do this, I'm going to share my screen, and okay, what should we go for? Let's go over to a stock. Let's pick a stock photo, nature stock photo. Let's just take this one. What file size is that? So when I'm hovering over, I'm using a PC, Windows. Okay, I can see here the dimensions are on this little box that's popped up. It's a JPEG file. It's dimensions 1280 pixels by 853 pixels, and the size of that file, that picture, is 211 kilobytes. Alright, so I'm going to open it with something called GNU Image Manipulation Program, GIMP. It's got this little fox icon, and it's basically free Photoshop, and I love it. It's awesome. So right, so this is the image. Let's have a look down here. Let's put it 100%. So that is the size. What was it? 1280. Those were the dimensions by 850 something. Okay, so that's the dimensions of the image. If you were to print it out on a piece of paper, that is the size that it would come out, essentially. Okay, when we're viewing it at 100%. Now, what did it say the file size was? 211 kilobytes. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this file. I'm going to export it as a JPEG, so it's the same type of file. Let's call it whatever that is, B. Alright, and I'm going to just do a little experiment to show you, right, the compression level. So it's got here written equality, but I'm going to compress it essentially to 50. And oh no, where did it go? Where did I save it to? Alright, export. So I saved it back into the actual same file, so let's go have a look there. Alright, so this is the original one. This is the one that I've just saved, and we can see here the dimensions of the image are exactly the same. It's 1280 pixels by 853 pixels, but the size of the file has decreased by about 130, and it's now at 80 kilobytes. Alright, now let's take a look. I'm going to open this in Photos, and let's take a look at the difference. So this is B, this is the smaller file size, the lower quality image, and that is the original. Okay, I'm going to jump back to the, you know, there is obviously, well, not obviously, but there is obviously a difference because I've compressed the file, but visually there's not much in it, and I've already decreased the file size. I'm going to go back over to GIMP because there's something important to note at this point. I'm going to go over here to Image, Scale Image. Here we can see the dimensions, and I could, in this little function of GIMP, I could change the file size. I could do something different. I'm going to keep it the same, but I'm going to note the resolution here because that's an important one to know. On the internet, most images use 72 pixels per inch resolution. Okay, if I wanted to print this picture on an inkjet printer, I might want to up that to something like 600, but for images on the internet, and we're talking about website design here, 72 pixels per inch is the preferred resolution. Okay, if you download images usually from the internet, they're already going to be set at that resolution. So that's important to note. Okay, now the purpose of this is we're trying to get the image that we want to the smallest file size, so that we can have the smallest file size, the smallest data taking up a web page. Alright, so I'm going to come out of there. Now what I'm going to do is come over to Google, and I mean I've got it in my tools, but let's type it in. What was it? Let's see if I remember. Not off the top of my tongue. So I've got online image compressor. Alright, so it's called, if you type in Optimizilla, like a Godzilla, Optimizilla. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is upload that file. Where were we? Stock photos, wasn't it? Alright, and it was in Nature. And so this is the original file, 211 kilobytes. This is the file that I've actually made smaller, and we're going to select it because what this website does, free website, and you know, with my tutorials, obviously platforms are going to change, so just, you know, take what I say with a bit of flexibility and a bit of I don't know the word, but there are different, you know, companies that you know, make things like this where you can compress and you know, compress files, convert files. There's a whole like plethora of different companies, so you don't have to go for Optimizilla. I'm sure there's other companies that do the same thing. So we have uploaded this image, and it's managed to decrease by 7% the file size. I'm downloading it. Let's go over to that file and let's take a look. It's gone down to 74.8. So I've kind of feel like that's the smallest. That dimension image, 1280 by 853 pixels, that's the smallest we're going to get that. Alright, so I might want to upload that to my website. I would give it a name prior to that, so I would say if it was a website design website that I was putting this image on, I would go something like best website design. God, it's tough when you're doing a tutorial to type. Best website design agency UK. Okay, so I might want to call it something related to the website, so that you're starting off putting keywords into that. But that's not what this little video is about. Now, this I want to know before we close the tutorial. We've seen the size of this image. Now, if that was going to be a background image for your website, maybe on a header, then I would say that 1280, the dimensions, the width of this image, 1280 pixels, that would be around about the ballpark. I wouldn't really want anything less than that for a background image, because already we can see it's going to stretch that a little bit to reach the corners of this screen. I would prefer to go for something like 1500 pixels across, or even up to 2000 pixels across for a background image. Now, let's say that you just actually want to take up, I'm just going to highlight that by viewing it at 50%, just to show you what I mean. Let's say that you only wanted to have the image, and the biggest it was ever going to be on your screen on the website or the web page was going to be this big. Now, there's no purpose in putting an image on your website that's this big if the maximum it's going to be ever seen is this big. Okay, so I'm going to show you what to do. You resize it, and you don't have to use GIMP. You can go on the internet and Google resize image for free, something like that, and you'll find a good one. Let me just give you a bookmarks. I know that there's a good one here somewhere, just as a little bit of photo editor. BeFunky. So befunky.com is a great free one that you can use to do all kinds of stuff, including resizing images. Alright, so let's go back over here. It's 100%. Now I'm guessing that if I wanted an image about this size at 100%, then I'm guessing that would be about 700 pixels across. Alright, so I'm going to put it back to 100%, and I'm going to go to image, scale image, width, let's say 700. I've got them linked, so I just click here. It's already scaled the height to the dimensions. We've got 72 pixels per inch as the resolution. I'm going to click scale, and we can see here, because it's on 100%, that's the new size of the image. Okay, so we've got the actual size of the image that we want to have, and I'm going to go over here to export, and let's call it C. Alright, and I'm going to export it, and let's export it to that 50% quality. Alright, and let's go and have a look at what the file size is for C at a kind of the best picture size. So what's that? 31 kilobytes already that's getting much smaller. Let's take a look at the quality of that image. Open in photos. Alright, so that's the original, that's the C. Alright, so if we're happy with that, what I'm going to do one more time is go over to what was it? Optimizilla. Let's upload this smaller size image. Alright, and it's reduced it by 9%. I'm going to download it. I'm going to go to where it's been downloaded. See, let's a little tag on the end, minimum. And we've got down to 28.8 kilobytes for the image. So if we take those over to, I'm going to cut them. Let's go to the stock photos, and I'm just going to paste them in there. I'm going to go back in. I rename one, so it's going to be all over the place. But so the original one was this. We've gone from an original file of 211 kilobytes to the final file, which is the optimum actual size of the image and the optimum sort of compression, to 28.8 kilobytes, 30 kilobytes. Alright, and that is the file that I would upload to the website. And if you do something like that for each of your images, then you are going to have just a very much smoother running website and a much faster opening web pages. And that's really particularly important if you're doing paid advertising for people to come through to your landing page, come through to your website, check out your stuff. You don't be losing money because you didn't put a little bit of effort into optimizing those image sizes. There are other methods. Have a look at some plugins. I'll do another video around plugins. If you've already got a lot of images on your website and that haven't been optimized, I'll do another video on some plugins, WordPress plugins that you can use that essentially bulk optimize your images. But I like to go for the method of really getting those files, those images, to the right dimensions for what I want. And just before I go, what I will say is that if you've got an image that you've got on your web page, let me find something that's kind of mobile phone size. This is my diary, but let's say that's a mobile phone. If you have an image on your website that you know is only going to be for the mobile phone, then that is only about 350 pixels across. Alright, so you can really scale that down and have that image initially put onto your website as an image that is just 350 pixels across, and really reduce that file size. So have a think about that too. It's a really important aspect of having a smooth and fast running website and having your web pages loading up quickly. So I'm going to share more in other tutorials. For now, wishing you an amazing day and have fun creating. Alright, see you in the next one.